Good evening, folks on the webinar. Can you hear us okay? Can someone chime in and let me know if you can hear us okay? I see I have Don and John and Lucy and Madeline. Can you hear us okay? You'd have to unmute yourself to talk if you wanted to talk. Oh, all right, you can hear us. Thank you so much, guys. We have such a hard time with our audio usually, but today we have a hard time with our video. We're getting a message that our broadband in this room cannot support video. So I'm not sure you'll be able to see us necessarily, but you'll be able to hear us. We're working on that right now as we speak. So just stand by a few moments. We'll be starting the meeting in a couple minutes. We'll be starting shortly here. As I say, the video is not working today, but apparently you still have audio, which is good. So you can hear what we're actually saying. But we're hoping that we will get back to video shortly. We'll be starting momentarily. How can we not have proper Wi-Fi in here?
Something needs to be reset.
Oh, I can see and hear you. Can you? It's shown here that we can't. So you see this, the whole board? You should still use the same link. Yeah. Yeah, sat in the vice president's chair. It felt good. It was very comfortable, I can tell you that. Okay, so, I don't know, did you get the? Yeah, that's all right. Okay. You guys ready? You folks ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 19th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Tonight for our prayer, I just ask that, dear God, you help us through our meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. We thank you for being the source of our guidance tonight. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin?
Here.
Councilman Ramichardt? Here. Councilman Benton?
Here.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Here.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Here. We have agendas up front. We have quite a bit of business, but we do have a special proclamation tonight honoring our Burnt Hills Boston Lake Girls Field Hockey Team state champions. Congratulations. We'll get to that in just a moment. As I understand it, we will be taking resolution 15 off because there is some concern about a particular wording of a bid, and we'll be adding on resolution 1, which does allow us to purchase the vehicles that met the bid specifications, but the one vehicle will be off and one will be on, 2 will be off, and that'll come back after that's taken care of. So that's the only change on the agenda. And of course, tonight is the supervisor's state of the town, which I cleverly chose to do the night that we had an audience that we're going to keep here and listen to that. So, they don't seem to think that's funny. All right, so we'll start on my left with town council reports. Councilman Galuski.
Just a few things, Mr. Supervisor. First and foremost, wanted to extend my thanks and a bit of praise to our highway department for the response to the snowstorm late Sunday into Monday morning. They did a great job making sure that our roads were clear and were safe, and our sidewalks and municipal walkways were as well. So thank you very much to everyone who chipped into that great team effort. Room full of teenagers. I wanted to share my experience and let people know that the Chipotlane, as part of the Chipotle, is really a cool thing, a great addition to our town. It's been a saver for our family a couple times for dinner. You can hop on the internet and order Chipotle and just zip through and pick it up. So pretty cool. I wanted to thank Mike Giorgio and also the supervisor and everyone else who helped bring Chipotle to town. It's been a while since we had a chance to comment on some stuff like that. Lastly, just wanted to indicate that the Efficiency in Government Committee met on Friday of last week. It's a spirited group. I actually recall attending a meeting back when I first started on the council 4 years ago with them. We talked about a lot of issues. We kind of focused on the relationship between the Village of Scotia and the town of Glenville, and I think that's going to be an area that they continue to look at ways that we can work together to promote some shared services between the two municipalities and also other neighboring municipal entities as well. Kind of filled them in on some of the discussions I've had with various board members and with the supervisor and also with some of the trustees to talk about some of the different arguments and ideas behind some of the issues. So looking forward to continuing our work together. And that's all, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rosbowski.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, I have a couple things to report on. This afternoon, I had the pleasure of attending our traffic safety committee's meeting up in the Mel Bartlett room. It was a very informative meeting, lots of discussion about placement of stop signs and should they be there and when can they be removed. It was actually pretty enlightening to learn that they follow some pretty standardized rules for things like that. So we had a presentation from a resident with regard to a stop sign at Fredericks and Draw, and that led to some good exchange of information. Additionally, they are considering adding to the web page for the Traffic Safety Committee a generalized email for residents to make it easier if they want to file a complaint or a comment. That has not been decided yet, but I'm sure that we will have an announcement when that is. That's a recommendation that was made. Additionally, I think there's some safety info that's going to be added to that webpage to update it. He sends us monthly reports every month on the different statistics within the town, different numbers for us to review. He had a couple of points that he wanted to make for us with regard to last year and years past. So the traffic car that we put in place has helped us to double the traffic citations since 2016 to 2017. So when we put that in place, we kind of figured that was going to be the case, but the statistics do bear that out. The warrant files are up by nearly 100 from last year. The warrants that are issued for individuals are up by more than 100, or by nearly 100 from last year's figure. Crime reports continue to increase as well, and criminal charges that were filed are up by 200 from the year before. The total number of incidents the officers responded to last year was 26,461. That's calls for service within the town. Traffic stops numbered 4,960. Tickets issued totaled 4,077. Warrants were received in the amount of 241 warrants for the year, and 170 warrants were served for the year. A total of 751 motor vehicle crashes occurred within the town of Glenville that were responded to by police officers. Custodial arrests for 2021 totaled 417. So that's a single arrest, but that could generate multiple charges. So criminal charges within the town from arrests that were made were 780 for last year. He said that multiple charges can result from one arrest, and that's why those numbers, that number's higher. And the total number of incidents that reported a crime within the town for last year was 1,488. Going back and looking through, some of these stats were down from last year, but we're also down a couple of officers and had some retirements and stuff. So I think that might be attributing to it, but it also may be that, I'm not really sure what causes the fluctuation in numbers, but I just wanted to give a brief report, and our officers certainly are very busy, and I would just like to thank them for their efforts, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate Mike's comments about the highway department during the storm, and particularly the ice storm before the snow as well. It's great to see the guys out there and doing the fine work for our residents. The other thing I wanted to just call to the local business attention. In my town, I think we have 4 forms of assistance available to our small businesses in town currently. We have our assistance program for our Ready Fund. We have the award of a micro enterprise grant, and we've always had our Glenville Local Development Corporation with capital funding available there in the form of lower loans. And I read with interest finally they published our intentions with the COVID relief fund. So there's quite a set of resources there for our local businesses to access, and seeing other communities in the region. I think that's an unprecedented commitment to our local business, and I hope that these funds find their way to really help these local business people and get through these rather challenging economic times they face. But I just wanted to point that out, that we now have 4 programs on which we can.
Thank you. Councilman Ramatar.
Just also want to reiterate, thanks to the town team and volunteers for the weekend, keeping the safe and proud. Other than that, I have reached out to some folks in my liaison roles, I was talking to DDA and working on contacting folks regarding the parents, so waiting for some folks.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now, that's a part of the program where we will be honoring the Burnt Hills Boston Lake Girls Field Hockey Team for winning the state championship. You're a big team. I think it's the biggest team we've had in here so far. I want to say congratulations on behalf of the town board for your accomplishments. And before we go any further, how many of you are seniors? 4 or 5 of you? And you've been on the team for the whole 4 years. How many championships do you have? 4? The seniors, how many championships? What's that? Yes. All right, well, 1, all right. That's okay. 1 is a lot more than a lot of people get. That's great. You guys, the seniors, have you picked your schools yet? You know where you're going? Yeah, where are you going? Cortland, congratulations. Who else is a senior? Oh, congratulations. Where else? Anyone else have their schools yet? Not yet. So the rest of you, how many are juniors? Okay, sophomores? Freshmen? Okay, well, so you got a lot of time to oh. So, you know, the board hears us a lot. We do come and we do honor Burnt Hills, Scotia, Glenville, the 2 major school districts in our town, very often for the achievements that you are able to achieve in the competitive world. You're all too young, but I'm old enough to remember one of my favorite coaches ever, my favorite football team, the Buffalo Bills. Marv Levy used to say to his players every single time they stepped out on the field, he'd ask the one question. And they actually asked it before if there are any New England Patriots fans here, the 47-17 win the Buffalo Bills had over the New England Patriots. Let's give that a round of applause for anyone. Okay, I guess I'm the only Bills fan. There we go. But Marv Levy used to ask his players, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? And I think that's a great opportunity for people to kind of center themselves about what they're about to go out there and do and the accomplishments you're about to achieve. And so, you know, some of you are going to go on, 5 of you are going to go on and do other things at college, probably play and achieve other great levels and go on from there and achieve many other great things. But savor this and enjoy it. It's certainly an accomplishment that you will be proud of, not just today, but in the coming years. And we really are proud of our school districts here, Burnt Hills, Scotia, Glenville. And we do want to take a moment to honor you with a proclamation. So I'm going to take 1 minute to read the proclamation, and then I'm going to ask Coach Roman to come up and say a few words. And then what we'll do is we'll hand out, Coach will call you up by name. We'll hand this to you. You'll stand here and take a picture with the board afterwards, if that's okay. So the proclamation reads, whereas the Burnt Hills Boston Lake 2021 girls field hockey team has completed its successful 18-3 season by winning a New York State championship title, its first New York State title in 30 years. You think I would have remembered that before I asked you how many you won? Well, that's all right.
Well, they're looking at you like that.
I know. Whereas the Burnt Hills Boston Lake 2021 girls field hockey team also took home their 9th consecutive seasonal title since 2012, and whereas the Burnt Hills Boston Lake 2021 girls field hockey team was comprised of athletes who demonstrated that it is truly a team effort for all of their success this year. And whereas the Burnt Hills Boston Lake 2021 girls field hockey team should be also proud of their scholastic achievements with an overall team GPA of 95%. Now, therefore, by the power vested in me in the office Girls Field Hockey Day throughout the town of Glenville, and on behalf of the Glenville Town Board, extend our congratulations and best wishes to the coaches, players, and their parents for an outstanding volleyball season. Congratulations. Now, this proclamation is good in the town of Glenville, and we don't usually give it the day of because most of the day's gone. So it's for Friday. But I want to remind you, you can do anything you want, but the high school is not in the town of Glenville. So whatever you do on campus, I can't help you with. You could speed through town though and tell Janik that you got this proclamation. Coach Roman, would you like to come up and say a few words?
I think the first thing they'd want me to say is that this is actually the field hockey team we're recognizing tonight, which is not volleyball, but we just wanted to make sure everybody was clear that this is the field hockey team. So I'll probably be repeating a lot of things that you've said already. It's been over 30 years since Burnt Hills Field Hockey have won a state championship, and through much hard work and dedication on and off the field, these girls ranging from 8th grade to 12th, were able to bring home their 9th consecutive sectional title and a state championship once again. We wish our 5 seniors good luck and thank the town of Glenville for recognizing these girls and their accomplishments. So we thank you very much for having us here tonight. So as I call your name, if you guys can come on up. Molly Pokabratsky. Lillian Morse. Lily Mastrella. Maggie Lansley. Amelia Landry. Carolyn Koga. Addison Napick. Catherine Jensen. Maggie Holmes. Kaylin KK Fish. Maddie Keneally. Emily Brooks. Our JV coach, come on up, Coach Mastrella. All right, yep, for our pictures. And those girls who could not attend tonight, Jocelyn Hild, Michaela Hild, and Allie O'Rourke.
Oh, God. Oh, that's her.
No, but-
Okay. I have a hard time breathing through this. So we'll now move on to the next item, which is the privilege of the floor. I'll open privilege of the floor. If anyone wants to be heard at privilege of the floor, please raise your hand. We have quite a few people on the webinar, so if you're interested in speaking at privilege of the floor, raise your virtual hand and we'll open the mic for you. Anyone in the room or anyone on the webinar? Going once, going twice. Seeing none. Privilege of the floor is now closed. Now we'll move on to the supervisor state of the town, which will take place of what I would typically do, a supervisor's address. I can't believe the ladies don't want to stay for this.
It's always so riveting.
I know.
That's not a good thing.
I shortened it this year for folks, but I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, particularly online. There's quite a few folks online, and hopefully this microphone is working properly and you can see the address. This is my 13th state of the town, which is somewhat unusual for a town to do, but I think it's important, as I know this town board believes is important, that we take an opportunity to engage our residents in those things that we think that we'd like to accomplish this year. These are some things we're going to be talking about are lofty, some things we've talked about before, maybe some new things, but just to give everyone an idea of what we're thinking to do this year and really kind of encourage folks to engage in that throughout the year in the work we're trying to do. I'm happy to stand here tonight and report that from our expanding parks to our growing commercial corridors, from our new pedestrian paths to our strengthening neighborhoods, from our sustainability efforts to our strong and stable finances, the state of our town is not just good, but it is very strong. It is vibrant. It is growing, and we are a community on the rise. Much has changed since I first took my oath of office, my first term as supervisor 13 years ago. And a lot of people have come and gone in that time. But through it all, we were always able to deliver to our residents an effective and efficient local government that we all can be proud of. Over the course of our many years of this administration, we working as a team have accomplished much. We always stayed under the tax cap. We've delivered our tax cuts. We've slashed our debt, and we protected our fund balance. We've made investments in our people, in our equipment, and in our parks, our commercial corridors, and in our neighborhoods. We've made our town more connected. We've enhanced recreational opportunities and invested in a more sustainable community. Most recently, we passed the budget that provided a 3% tax cut to our residents, and we've reduced overall spending for a second consecutive year. In short, we've cut taxes, we've reduced our spending, we've paid down our debt, we've protected our savings, but that's not all. Our hard work put us in a position to again improve services for our residents. And I want to take just a minute to talk about some of the more recent highlights of this past year and this coming year of some of the things we're able to achieve. First of all, partnering with our school districts to meet their needs. In 2022, the town assigned 2 police officers to 2 distinct school districts, Burnt Hills, Boston Lake, and Scotia Glenville, as school resource officers during the school year. This initiative has been discussed for several years, and the hard work of the parties involved have finally made it pay off. I want to take a moment to thank Superintendents Patrick McGrath, Susan Swartz, the 2 school boards, the Glenville Police Chief, and all of those involved for their perseverance in turning this idea into a reality. I also am proud that this year we're adding to our police force again. Councilwoman Rosbowski touched on it, and tonight we'll be hiring another police officer as well. But We'll be hiring 2 in total this year to backfill those SRO positions. These hires will augment the new police officers in both 2018 and 2019. I'm proud that as of 2017, we employed 22 police officers. By the end of this year, that number will rise to 26 police officers. We've added and invested, very proud of what we've been able to accomplish in our parks, thanks largely to Vicki Hillis here tonight. But we're adding staff as well in our growing park system. This budget for 2022 funds a full-time laborer position, which is the second straight year that we've added a full-time park employee. As recently as 2019, our Parks Department only had 2 employees. By the end of this year, that will increase to 4.5 full-time employees. We're adding staff to our senior center as well. For years, we relied on volunteers to staff the front desk, and they've done a wonderful job at doing so. But this year, we'll add a part-time senior center employee for the afternoons. And we'll be taking up a resolution at the next meeting, I believe, because we have a candidate selected. We'll be increasing staff at Town Hall. In 2022, the budget also increases the deputy town clerk position from part-time to full-time to provide for additional support for residents and to assist the tax receiver during collections. As you can see, as I said, we are on the rise. We are starting to add more resources to meet the growing needs of a town. And there's a lot to be proud of, but there is a lot more work ahead. And tonight I want to focus on just 3 main areas: our parks, economic development, and infrastructure. First, as I mentioned, in our parks. Now, for some time, we've had a very good relationship with our sports leagues, and it worked well. However, as the better services while helping to upgrade our facilities for all town residents. I'm asking the Park Planning Committee to sit down with our youth sports leaders and reimagine a better model that better invests in our youth while ensuring our parks remain open and accessible for all of our residents. And speaking of that, the physical improvements to our parks will continue. We will look to create a pedestrian path to and around Melwick Park. We've invested over $1 million recently in Melwick Park, including a new adaptive playground, a new pavilion, and concession stand. And it is even more important to gain pedestrian access to that park for those in the neighborhood around it. To meet that need, we began to invest in the 2020 budget funds to construct a pedestrian path around the park and plan to eventually link the neighborhoods below Mohawk Avenue to Melwick Park to create more opportunities for residents within that area. That is a longer term goal, but most immediately we'll be looking to create the pedestrian trail within the park for walking, skiing, snowshoeing, and other activities for our residents. I'm most proud of one of the things we were able to actually get last year was a new park for our veterans called Legacy Park. After much effort, we secured the 6 acres on Dutch Meadows Lane, and that will be the home of Legacy Park to honor our region's veterans. This 2022 budget provides $100,000 in funding to get this important project started, while fundraising and grants are simultaneously pursued. I recently had a meeting with the engineer, and we have a basic layout, and we have a potential for a walking trail that is within that budgeted amount. Also, providing recreational opportunities for our youth. The 2022 budget continues to invest in our Burnt Hills Boston Lake Summer Rec program, while also adding funding in to create and recreate the Scotia Glenville Youth Rec program as well. And I've been in contact with trustees in the village to begin that effort for this summer. Other projects in parks that will be included is the development of a girls softball facility for the Scotia Glenville team, paving the interior roads of both of our major parks, making investments in disc golf course, additional pickleball courts, and a seasonal stage at Indian Meadows. And we just recently received funding for a rooftop boat launch at Melwick Park. I've also proposed, and the board will approve tonight, a creative plan to help our youth sports leagues continue investments within our parks. We will allocate $75,000 in ARPA money, that's the COVID relief fund from the federal government, to help our sports leagues invest in capital projects within our parks. This program, known as Youth Leagues for Parks, will strengthen our youth programs while helping to continue investments in our park projects. Additionally, we will update and finish the parks master plan and include a better opportunity for us to deal with invasive species. We've done a wonderful job with it. I want to thank Vicki for her leadership and Melissa for her leadership on it. It's a serious threat to our natural areas, and we've done a lot to mitigate, and we've got a lot more to do. So we'll continue to work on that as well. It wouldn't be Glenville if we weren't talking about economic development. Building on the success that we've experienced in Town Center, we will focus on Freeman's Bridge Road and its redevelopment. This will be a long-term strategy, and the redevelopment of this corridor will take many years, but it has already begun. This important work will help us turn the point on that important commercial corridor. This underutilized commercial corridor will be a central point that includes more pedestrian paths to connect the bridge to Dutch Meadows. We will seek resources to implement placemaking elements such as lights, banners, and street trees to help beautify and encourage more private investment in the area over the long term. These elements are catalysts for businesses, and they help attract and keep small businesses within the corridor. Part of the Freeman's strategy will include modifying land use policy for the corridor, continuing to pursue the contamination cleanup that began years ago at the Kenco site, fixing the railroad crossing, and starting the two major pedestrian walkway projects, the Freeman's Bridge Road pedestrian walkway from the bridge to Dutch Meadows, and the Mohawk Hudson bike hike trail along the Mohawk River that will connect Glenville and Scotia. Additionally, this will complete a 4-mile loop around the river. Our residents will be able to go from Glenville through Scotia, around the river, back through the city of Schenectady up by the casino, and then back to Glenville in a 4-mile loop. And we're very excited about it. I know the county is also excited about it as well. And lastly, our economic development strategy will continue to focus on the support and attraction and the strengthening of our small businesses. We will focus on our small businesses through the microenterprise program that makes $300,000 of new capital available to our small businesses through our local development corporation. And thank you, Brian, for all the great work you and your folks do through that important tool we have in economic development, the local development corporation. We'll also make investments through ARPA, which I mentioned earlier is the COVID relief money, into a small business grant relief program totaling $150,000, and that resolution is on tonight's agenda as well. And through one of the more innovative programs, the READY program, we'll invest over $50,000 to help small business beautify their properties. Overall, the town of Glenville will be investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in our community's small businesses to help them better succeed. Additionally, we'll open many of these programs to our nonprofits as well and help them cope with the impacts of the pandemic, which includes using ARPA funds to support them. And that resolution is on tonight's agenda as well. Lastly, capital improvements and infrastructure. Now, I know this is, I talked about earlier, there are some things in here that we've talked about for some time, and this is one of them. But now is the time that we need to finally address the town's workspace issues that include the need for additional storage, a safer work environment, and that will help support more efficient operations. This includes, as an important component of that, finishing Yates Mansion so that we can have our History and Cultural Center finally open. We need to address Town Hall rehab or its new build, and we need to build a storage facility. There is no question we're struggling with space issues. The Yates Mansion offers us an opportunity to replace our old, dilapidated current History Center here on this campus, which we use as a History Center, and help give us new life to the house that is both on the state and the federal historic registries. Securing and opening the new History Center is an important step for us, and we will finish that project. And I'm pleased to say that Councilman Jim Martin has stepped up and has offered his leadership to make sure that that project gets complete. Our decision on Town Hall will be weighed against the cost to fix and expand our space here or to find a new facility for our offices. I've asked our attorneys to prepare a call for proposals so that we can evaluate all possible opportunities before us. Once we have all those options, we will discuss all ones. We have patiently waited for the COVID frozen grants from the state that include $1.4 million towards this project. And this top of the board's agenda. I don't know if that's feedback, but did you hear something? Yeah. Okay. That was me, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
All right. That was weird. It will be on our work session this coming February. We will finalize the Dawson Bridge road repair that has been going on for some years. We will build out our pedestrian trails to begin the work to make necessary investments in our water infrastructure in the Glen Oaks neighborhood, below the avenue, and in the Business and Technology Park. For too long, our residents of these areas of the town have been left to the village system where they have lower pressure and have been subject to higher prices. In fact, our residents who are on the village system but live within the town of Glenville pay an average of 36% more than the village resident who pays for the same exact water. Neighbors along the village town line, one pays 36% more than the other. And the residents who live in the village water district within the town pay twice as much as the town residents on average outside the village. This is unaffordable, it's unfair, and it's something that we need to address immediately. But cost isn't the only issue. The infrastructure investment that will bring our town residents onto our system make sure we have better pressure. But perhaps most pressing is public safety. We have public safety issues because that low water flow to the hydrants below the avenue in particular are problematic, and within the Business and Technology Park. This will help us no longer continue the practice of letting revenue flow to the village while the cost of the system stays on the town resident. We need to address this. We need to address this quickly. Other issues are some of our significant pedestrian walking path projects beyond the ones I mentioned that we'll be focused on in this year is finishing the All Plaza sidewalk, which we started with working with the county and received a survey for. We will try to get that completed this year. And of course, we're going out to bid on the Burn Hills, Boston Lake Hill Road sidewalk that will connect the high school to the middle school and make a safe walkway for those students. We received funding to help us build the Van Buren sidewalk, and that will be a project that will be multi-years in the making, but we'll start that now so that we can finally complete the last piece of our pedestrian trail here that will connect two major neighborhoods, Woodhaven and St. Stephen's, to our commercial corridor and to our parks, which will bring them into not just the Anderson Park, but the Indian Meadows Park and another large loop pedestrian trail for our residents. This will be the link that brings a massive amount of residents together in one pedestrian trail, and we're very excited for that to happen. We'll also continue to provide enhanced road paving for a third year in a row. This 2022 budget utilizes another $150,000 from Capital Reserve to accelerate our highway paving schedule. And lastly, as you heard before, we will help bring broadband to our rural areas of the town. I've asked the board to consider, and this will be on our work session shortly as well, using some ARPA money to help invest in the partnership with Spectrum and the town residents to share in the infrastructure costs that is necessary to make this happen. Our residents in West Glenville in particular had a difficult time during the pandemic because they could not access school or work from their home. Many called me about their plight of going to a Stewart's parking lot to sit in their car just to use the Wi-Fi so that they can either help their child with school or to dial into their work. We need to help fix that. We have an opportunity with ARPA money, and we're going to try to make that program work. Now, it's clear that this is an aggressive agenda. But over the past 12 or 13 years, we've always challenged ourselves to improve this community, to invest in the important infrastructure that is not just necessary to deliver key services, but the infrastructure that also makes this town more livable and to protect our taxpayers from over excessive tax burdens. I'm confident that we can achieve these goals because together we've already achieved so much. Just 12 years ago, our commercial corridor was dark and vacant. Our parks were underutilized. There was not a foot of sidewalk anywhere. Our finances were shaky and our debt was out of control. By working together as a team, all of us, each one of us, our employees, our volunteers, our appointed and our electeds, all came together under a common vision, united in purpose, dedicated in effort to change this town for the better. We did so because each one of us put the town's resident first, our egos last, and the betterment of this community became our prime directive. As I close, I want to thank you all for being here, but I do want to make one quick acknowledgement, as I've done recently. I think I can say the toughest year of my tenure so far has been this past 2 years, 2020 and 2021. Nothing, as I've said before, could have prepared me or anyone else here for the impact of that pandemic. But that's when I found that our people really shine the most. Through that entire experience, our people showed compassion. We kept our critical services going. We created some new ones to support our small businesses and to support our most vulnerable in our community. And each of our employees, each one of them always stayed focused on their job. That balanced and reasoned approach that we took to the pandemic, I think, is the hallmark of this team's work together. And that is what will continue as we go through the next 4 years. I know what we're capable of, and I'm excited about what's still ahead. And again, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank the folks on the webinar for taking time to be here tonight. Thank you very much. Okay. So we'll get back to the agenda now. I just have to find my agenda. And everybody is still on the webinar, so that's good. Nobody left during that talk. Okay, that's good.
It's because they fell asleep.
Yeah, it's because they fell asleep. They're unattentive. Moving on to the resolution to appoint Christopher Dunn, position of police officer. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. I think, as we talked about earlier, both Councilwoman Rosbowski and I, that we do have a new officer. Councilwoman, I don't know if you wanted to go through this just briefly.
Sure, I can do that for you,
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you.
This resolution involves the proposed hiring of Christopher Dunn, who is currently a City of Amsterdam police officer who holds the necessary qualifications mandated by Schenectady County Civil Service Commission. After an extensive background investigation and interview with Mr. Dunn, the Chief of Police and Lieutenant recommend the appointment of Mr. Dunn to fill one of the 2 new police officer positions. Mr. Dunn was approved as a lateral transfer from the City of Amsterdam Police Department by the Schenectady County Civil Service Commission. Compensation for this position will be set forth in the current collective bargaining agreement between the Glenville PBA and the town for a second-year officer. Should this resolution pass, it would approve the appointment of Christopher Dunn of Rotterdam, New York to the position of police officer in the Glenville Police Department effective January 20th, 2022. Additionally, in recognition of his prior law enforcement experience, the town will use January 20th, 2021 as the effective date for the purposes of calculating longevity payments, leave time accruals, and insurance benefits. This position is included in the 2022 budget, and that's what it is.
Thank you. One quick thing, Officer Dunn could not be here tonight. B, I talked to the chief. We're going to be doing the swearing in ceremony at the next board meeting. Because we'll have another officer at that point to consider.
Okay.
So we wanted to do that class together as one, two coming in together. So we'll do that at the next meeting. One question I had, because it's typically in the resolution, what's the starting salary?
Well, second here.
Okay, thank you. And was his residency here in Glenville when I met?
Resident.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Mhm.
Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Zaborski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Tustin?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 9, authorizing the call for bids to install asphalt multi-use path on Lake Hill Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments?
Yes, Supervisor, this resolution puts in motion the first of 3 sidewalk projects that got awarded a 800, they got awarded a DEP grant through the Climate Smart Community Grant Program. Total project cost for the 3 private sidewalk projects will be $859,000. As I said, this was 3. We've got a lot of work done on this. This is a 0.3 mile, 3/10 of a mile, 5-foot wide path that will extend along Lake Hill Road from Good Street to Old Work, to the Old Work Middle School. Prime Engineering has been retained to do the design. They've prepared a bid package, it's been submitted to DEP and been approved. So we're now at a point that this will now run back to our bid for the construction of that path at that dimension in that location. And look forward to seeing the bids come in on hopefully by February 16th. At that meeting, we'll be able to make a selection.
Thank you. I do just want to point out this is the second of 3 projects that were under that grant. The first one, Broad Street, was completed last year. This one will be complete now, and as you heard, was a big part of the state of the town and the goals for this year. And then the All Plaus one is going to be the next one that we really have to focus on and get done. But all 3 of those, Safeway to schools, connect schools to the community, and this is just a second of 3. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Tustin?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 10, scheduling a public hearing to amend the PDD for a approved district at 66 Freeman Bridge Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
I
it.
have a second.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Supervisor, this resolution sets a public hearing for Wednesday, February 2nd, here in this room, 7 p.m. To hear those in favor or opposed to the establishment of the planned development district. I think it's our second, is it not?
Yes.
For a solar project. And the people are encouraged to attend and hear the description of the project and whatever.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Zaborski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Tustin?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 11, authorizing a change order to the underground storage tank project at the highway garage. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is connected to Resolution 217-2020, where we accepted the low bid from American Petroleum Equipment Construction Company to replace 2 4,000-gallon underground fuel tanks at the highway garage. So the highway superintendent now also recommends replacing the existing fuel tank dispenser, which has reached the end of its useful life, including all necessary pumps, valves, and stabilizer bars, at the cost of $14,580.99. This desired equipment is available at New York State contract pricing. And the town comptroller recommends moving forward with the purchase as the additional funding is available in the Highway Capital Reserve account. So this resolution, should it pass, would authorize the supervisor to enter into an amended agreement with American Petroleum Equipment and Construction Company in the amount of $14,580.99 for the purchase and installation of a new Gas Boy Atlas electronic dispenser, including all the necessary pumps, valves, and stabilizer bars.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, authorizing the purchase and installation of a rooftop heating unit at Glenville Town Hall. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. So the existing unit in town hall with the police department has come to the end of the police mutual life. I don't want to look anymore. Commissioner of Public Works, released, RFP, to create the current unit and, four bids were received. Commissioner of Public Works recommends that the contract be awarded to the lower bidder, which is McClough, if I'm saying that correctly, and Sons, located at 1281 Second Iowa Road in Charlton, for the bid price of $12,685. The council also advised us that this project is included in the 2020 budget. So we are, hopefully, for the package, so that we accept the low bid from McClough and Sons. For the amount of $12,685 for replacing Sons, rooftop heating units at that time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? The only thing I would point out is we are starting to really get to the breaking point of our deferred maintenance. We've held off as long as we can. We didn't want to spend any money until we made a decision, but it's part of what is happening with what's going on in this building is the deferred maintenance. I'm sorry, I should have turned this off before. So just take note of that this is some money that we have to spend, unfortunately. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, authorizing the purchase and installation of a fuel system management solution program. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do I have
it.
a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is also in connection with the replacement of two 4,000-gallon underground fuel tanks at the Highway Department garage. The Highway Superintendent is recommend replacing the Fuel Master software system, which has now reached the end of its useful life, with a new FM live fuel system program, which includes cellular connectivity system setup and data conversion from the existing system at a cost of $16,127. We can obtain this equipment using New York State contract pricing. The town comptroller does recommend moving forward with this purchase as additional funding is available in the Highway Capital Reserve account. And so should this resolution pass, we would be authorizing the town supervisor to enter into an agreement with Syntec in the amount of $16,127 for the purchase and installation of a new FM live fuel system management solution program.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, authorizing the supervisor to enter into a contract with Twin Bridges regarding the bulk large trash collection program. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. As you can see, and we had this discussion at the last work session, this is for the bulk trash collection we do annually. I do want to point out that we had two bids. We bid, our first time we bid, we only had one bidder, and it was $164,000, which was well out of our budget and just not anything we can afford. We did do a second bid, and we got the same $164,000 bid, and then this bid from Twin Bridges that came in at $74,250. But it also has, as the other bid had, a tonnage overprice over 450 tons. So it'll be $105 per ton over the 450 tons. We traditionally don't hit 450 tons, but we did last year. And there was some thought that there was that COVID effect going on where people were putting out more stuff or cleaning out their house or redecorating or whatever. But we really have to come up with strategies because this is not affordable anymore. When I first got on the board, you heard this last week, it was a $10,000 program. It was a $10,000 program for years. And then it started going up and started going up a little bit at a time. But we're going to have to think about this going forward, and we have different things we can do. We can restrict size again, pile sizes to keep the tonnage down. We can do it every other year. Whatever it is, I think we're committed to doing it this year because our residents are kind of expecting it. But we have to start having that conversation so residents can start expecting where we're going to go with this in the future. Collecting trash is not going to get cheaper.
No.
So that's just something we're going to have to think about. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. As I said, resolution 15 is coming off because we had an issue with the bid. And we'll move on to 16. We'll readdress the add-on with that other one vehicle. So resolution 16 is approving the minutes for the regular town board meeting held on January 5th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
As noted, Mr. Supervisor, this resolution would approve the minutes from the organizational meeting, and I would thank Ms. Davenport and her staff for putting these together for us.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 17, approving the monthly departmental reports for 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
As noted, this resolution would approve the reports for the month of December, submitted to us from the various department heads for the town. I would thank the department heads for putting them together for us.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just getting a notice that the audio was disconnected and reconnected. So I guess we're back in business. I don't know what happened there. Resolution 18, authorizing the assessor to automatically renew some tax exemptions for the 2022 assessment roll in compliance with Executive Order 11.1. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. And Earl, you can square me up on this, but this is the assessor every year has to certify income for certain property tax exemptions for low-income seniors. And the governor has signed Executive Order 11.1 that will allow the town to do this without having the person actually come in to certify the income. And this is, again, we did this last year, right? We did this last year. And we did it in order to try to keep seniors a little bit safer, keep them from needing to come in if they don't have to come in. And so this will be the second year in a row that we actually allow for these exemptions to continue without checking income. I think there's a very low risk that many of these residents are above the income level. But we could always catch up in 2023 after hopefully the pandemic has subsided. But we felt, I think Earl and Bill and I felt that it was a safer move just to keep people from not necessarily having to come in if they don't have to.
And there is an exception there that still does have the opportunity that if you know that's the change in the primary residence or the owner has to be able to transfer the property, build up the ability to go in.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Goodwin?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 19, authorizing the supervisor to use American Recovery Program grant funding for small businesses in the town of Glenville in increments up to $10,000. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is a resolution that will support the program in the total amount of $150,000 for the American Recovery Program for 8 small businesses that incurred losses during the period of the pandemic. The increment is up to $10,000 per award, and the grant must be used for COVID-19 related losses between March 1st, 2020 and April 1st, 2021. As I indicated in my earlier remarks, I'm very excited about this program. It is quite a commitment of funds to do this, but I think it's worthwhile. And I look forward to the day getting out and doing the good work that it's intended to do and helping those small business people in our town.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
And just to add to the Councilman Martin's sentiments, I think it's a great program. I'm hoping the word travels steadily throughout the town. Certainly, there's a number of businesses. Some businesses had to shut their doors for certain parts of time during the pandemic. Hoping that word travels quickly and that the program is well utilized.
And again, I want to emphasize that, there's a number of ways that, this could be matched with other programs in the town that I alluded to earlier. So there's really a menu of things out there or in our town government that can be provided to the small businesses to assist them with these types of losses, inventory purchases, the micro enterprise program, assistance to our LBC and their loan program, and our ready fund. So I encourage the businesses to explore these programs and see how they can work for you.
Thank you. And Councilman Galuski, I could tell you based on the calls we got today, the word's getting out. Nonprofits as well, which we're taking up in the next resolution.
Forgive me, I was unable to be at the work session last week where we discussed this, so I'm sorry to be catching up. Is this for just town of Glenville businesses or Glenville and Scotia?
Just town of Glenville. So Scotia received their own
Okay. Yeah.
ARP money, and they have to do their own program. And I've been working with one of the trustees there to help them establish that. I'm hoping that the trustees follow through with that because there's some very important Scotia businesses that need some support.
Right.
We're just, because of the way the funding is done, we're just not able to, because our federal funds are for outside the village.
Right. Yeah, that makes,
Yeah.
yes, I just wanted to clarify.
Unfortunately, it's not us, it's the way that the money was given to the village and the town.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Zaborski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 20, authorizing the supervisor to use American Recovery Program money for sports leagues.
I'll move it.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. No, that's right. For sports leagues, up to $15,000. Go ahead.
I'll move that.
All right. Second, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is again, another program to the American Recovery Program, up to $75,000, in increments of $15,000. And as previously indicated, this is for a proposed sports league program to assist our local sports leagues with the funds. And again, it's for that period of time from March 1st, 2020 to April 1st, 2021.
Thank you. I'm particularly excited about this one because not only does it help our sports leagues, but it's a way to leverage that into more investments in our parks. Not only is this revenue that they lost, but it's revenue that they lost and deferred investments in their projects within the park. So it could be a equipment shed, it could be a field repair, it could be some. So at the end of the day, the residents are also getting benefit from this, in the park. So I'm very excited about this one. Any other questions or comments?
I think this is great. We have a really special relationship with our sports leagues, and any support that we can give them, I think, is fantastic. And it really goes to the kids and benefits them. And I think that that's also really important. I'm pleased to see this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Zaborski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 21, authorizing the supervisor to use American Recovery Program funding for nonprofits within the town of Glenville in increments up to $50,000. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is yet the third program of three run the American Recovery Program funds we received. This again is an overall amount of $75,000 and increments up to 50, so there's some real flexibility here. And this is for the benefit of nonprofits to offset pandemic-related expenses such as loss of income, additional expenses from social distancing, costs of converting to online sales and marketing, or similar measurable impact. So that same time frame as we cited in our two previous resolutions, March 1st, 2020 to April 1st, 2021. And again, that's an amount of $75,000 in an increment up to 50.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. We'll move on to add-on resolution 1, which is the resolution authorizing the purchase of that Silverado from a bid for a cost not to exceed $39,499.02. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
As you stated, Mr. Supervisor, this resolution is in connection with the purchase of a Parks Department vehicle that is appropriate for day-to-day use. The mini bid process allows us to purchase through New York State OGS to purchase vehicles. We obtained the lowest bid for a 2022 Chevy Silverado 2500 HD from Chevrolet of Smithtown, as you stated, at a price of $39,499.02. This resolution would authorize the Commissioner of Public Works to go through with that purchase. The purchase of the vehicle is provided for within budgeted appropriations.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Ramichardt?
Yes.
Councilman Delavatio?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. On to our final piece of business, which is new business. I'll start on my left with Councilman Galuski.
Just to share something a little bit fun. I was driving home one night. I was at the five road intersection that Councilman Martin has talked about a number of times. And I was contemplating, how I felt about the need for a rotary as I was sitting at the light, and I was staring at the Thomas Corners LED sign, which has some kind of neat things that will flash through. And one of the quotes, and I'm probably going to misquote this, I wish I had written it down right after, but it was something to the effect of approach the day with the excitement of a 3-year-old wearing a Batman t-shirt. And I actually laughed just like some of you guys just did, but yes. But then I was also like, if we had a rotary here, I never would have noticed that.
That's
But
Silver lining.
but not dispositive on how I feel on that issue. But I just
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with us. Have a good evening.